Okay, so a new edition of Creative Space with the unofficial poet laureate of Antigua, Dotsie Isaac. It's not me one says so, no, other people say so. So because she takes the topical issues and brings them into the public consciousness in a poetic way. I'm going to start actually with a poem, the first poem that I looked at on her playlist this morning, which is called Bulbud, which is, yes. I'll tell you a couple of things when I want to talk about the crafting of your poetry, but a couple of things that struck me as I was listening to that is I remember when you started presenting your poetry publicly.
That's right.
And you did not present it because even though it was your words, you weren't yet in a place where you could use your voice. Tell me about that journey.
Well, you're right. I used to write my pieces and open mic sessions. I used to give them to my sister to read because I was just too shy to stand in front of an audience and present. And I talked to myself. And then over time I said, you know, you just have to do it. It's your work and you have to be able to present your work. And if you don't bite the bullet, you'll never bite the bullet. You know what I'm saying? Mm. So I decided to just go ahead. I mean, I went ahead, but trust me, I was shaking like a leaf during those first performances. And over time, you kind of just build up confidence. And the audience has a lot to do with it too. It's more than just presenting. If your audience is not receptive, at least for me, I don't think you'd be having this interview with me today, you know? So well, I found a friend in the audience, mm-hmm. and it made it easier for me to present my work.
It's not just presenting your work, and it's not true that every poet finds a path to use their voice publicly. I mean, some are much more comfortable on the page. Not only have you found your confidence, you have developed nerves of steel. I see you presenting poetry at political meetings with the fervor of an evangelical minister. I see you presenting at your own showcase that you put together with the solemnity of, I don't know, Maya, Tony, this sort of embodiness and depth of purpose and all of that. So there's something that's happened that's transformed you from someone who is merely confident in presenting this stuff to someone who feels like, I have something to say, and whether you want to hear it or not, you're going to hear it because you cuss people.
Well,
and look them in the eye while you're cussing them.
Well, the truth is too that over time, I've matured, and a lot of the pieces that I write come from inside. I'm not just pulling a topic out of a hat and writing about it. A lot of what I write, I feel, and nobody else can present that but me. And because it's my truth. You might say that I've developed nerves of steel, but it is my truth. And I feel the need to speak my truth.
Okay, so what were you feeling?
It for me but me.
What were you feeling when you wrote, "You are a whining little puppy"?
Exactly that.
That, dear listener, is from a poem called Bulbud. And let me tell you, you might say, okay, so it's an abstract. Yes. It could be anybody is a whining little puppy, but then she gets very specific. If you govern this country as well as you curse Antigua and Barbuda, if you govern this country as well as you curse, Antigua and Barbuda could be first among first. So she's clearly speaking about the prime minister,
yes,
which I mean, frankly, in Caribbean politics is not without consequence. So how do you step into that?
Well, I tell myself that if I am lashed, if somebody reaches out and hits me, it's likely that I'm going to hit back. So that I'm writing that. And as a matter of fact, that Bulbud piece was in response. It was a hit back and a hit back. It was an I'm not taking lastly. That Bulbud
okay, so I'm glad you brought this up, because something I learned while researching ahead of this interview with you is that you and the Prime Minister have beef. I didn't know this. I tell you why, because I Googled you and the first thing that came up was him going in on you. And I'm like, Dotsie not in politics like that. And he was going in and getting very personal. Yes. I don't know if you want to, I mean, if you've seen that video and if you want to comment on it, but obviously Bulbud is in response to that.
it is in response to that, because I was on the a virtual platform still during the lockdown, but there was a political meeting with just women. There were just women who were presenting, and I was asked to present on that platform. Of course, I present in poetry form, and so I did a piece, and I talked about government and lack of governance, and I talked about the Prime Minister's lack of governance. And anyway, it was no holds barred. I went in and said exactly what I felt. And in response to that, he lashed out and he got personal. Now, for me to not expect that he would have responded, I would have been naive. But I really don't care. If I cared, I would not have said the things that I said and said the things that I felt, because I really just went out and expressed what I felt and what so many other people feel, but maybe they don't have the guts to say it, or maybe they don't have the platform to say it, right? But I expected him to lash back. And I'm saying there's nothing that he can tell me that's going to take me off of my crease.
That's
so
element.
you know, so he did retaliate, and Bulbud was in response to his retaliation. That's what it is. But prior to me doing that first piece, I don't even know if I had a title for it, to be honest, because sometimes there's no title to my pieces. But prior to me doing that first piece, he and I didn't have any beef, any personal beef, other than that he is the Prime Minister of Antigua, and I think he's doing a piss poor job.
Oh yeah, you made that very clear. I mean, wicked leaders terrorize. Our indebtedness is causing death. It is causing homelessness, hunger, and I forget the last word, but literally you go in on what you see is wrong with the country. You mentioned, you said just now that you don't care. And I do feel that an element of that is necessary for a writer to avoid self-censorship. On the page, it's certainly what I try. I mean, you kind of have to write as if nobody's ever going to read it. So that even though I mean, obviously audience is part of your process, but the same concept applies, that you're not going to pander to what people feel is comfortable to say. And as a writer, I kind of think you have to find a way to that. And even if your idea of writing it is you're going to burn it and throw it away, which obviously you shouldn't do, you should put it out into the world if you feel you need to say it. But the idea of don't care, it's a journey to get there. And clearly you have. Is there anything specific in your life that brought you there? Or is it just the journey?
I think just life experiences in general. And an obligation to self, an obligation to country, an obligation to my art form. That's what it is. Like you say, I'm not going to self-censor. I'm not going to do it, because if I do that, I will not be true to myself. I will not be true to my craft. I won't be genuine.
Let's talk about your craft.
And I just would not feel fulfilled if I have to hold back. So. Yes.
So let's talk about your craft a little bit. Obviously, that sort of bald honesty is part of it. How else would you describe your craft or your crafting of your work?
To be honest, Joanne, I figured today you asked me some questions that I've never really pondered, because I just do what I do. I don't know that I have a process other than being passionate or being, it's still passionate. I get very upset about something and my outlet is the right. I feel very passionate about something and my outlet is the right. And that's what I do. And that's how I started writing, really. I mean, it was really mild back then. It was really mild because I was younger, my life experiences were less, and all of that. I hadn't come into my own, but I am driven by what I feel passionately.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any inspiration?
Pardon me?
Do you have any inspirations?
Yeah, anger.
Okay.
Anger, because the truth is, I hardly ever write when I'm happy. If you're feeling happy, you're just feeling happy. You have nothing to vent about. You're happy.
This is true.
I think
it does tend to be the dark emotions. It does tend to be the dark.
And so for that release and so on, I write, and I think, and more than writing, more than writing for me is the expression of my pieces, because I could write and nobody would ever know that I'd written something. And I think too, what drives me is not just the writing, it's the expression. And I think that is the reason why I really have not published a book of poetry, because the written word as it is, especially particularly for my pieces, that does not excite me at all, right? I get my rush from performing my pieces.
And
so,
you have become, that's part of why, you kind of laughed earlier when I said unofficial poet laureate, but that's kind of part of why you have become that unofficial poet laureate, is that your poetry is very accessible, because I think of you in the tradition of like the town crier, the Kwakus, in the sense of you're standing on the street corner and you're bellowing it, figuratively speaking. You're putting it on the radio. You're going to public meetings and saying it. You're doing public showcases and performing it. You, like you said, one of your first products was a CD. I remember that CD, Absolutely Dotsie. And you've done a couple of others since then. And the idea being, I don't want you to read this, I want you to hear me. Yes,
that is true. That's very true.
So
that is very true, because reading is left to interpretation. They put words on a paper and anybody can interpret it how they interpret it. And it's not necessarily what the writer meant. And that's fine. That's the beauty of art. You can take a piece and anybody can take a piece and have it mean something different, right? And that's the beauty of art. And I recognize that. But it's important to me for you to hear what I have to say and how I have to say it.
You don't want any ambiguity about your art?
No, not at all.
Even though you say you write from a place of anger, though, your pieces have a lot of humor as well. I'm remembering you've written a couple of pieces, for instance, on the Royals. No, that's not anger. That's just
it's yeah.
Go ahead. What is it?
No, it's not anger at all. It's not anger. It's maybe sarcasm. Maybe a whole lot of sarcasm. Disgust, a kind of flick of the wrist, kind of get out of here kind of thing. You know, it's not really coming from an angry place. It's coming from, yeah, right. You know, can't really be bothered with you, and this is how I see you. I don't take you that seriously.
Although with the wedding piece, you were very kind towards Meghan. Is it this sisterhood?
It is definitely the sisterhood. And yeah, it was a pushback against, well, you know, we all know as a Black woman what she went through, even though she's not Black like me and you. We all know what she went through.
It doesn't matter to some people.
And it doesn't matter to a whole lot of people. I recognize that. So I paid very, very keen attention to that wedding. I was very interested in it. I don't think I blinked throughout the whole thing. And so I didn't miss anything, right? And it was really a celebration of her and saying, hey girl, look, we got you. We got you.
I have to say, I was very uninterested in the wedding, as I am in most things royal, but your poem actually got me clued in. Like, yeah, it got me paying attention. And as you said, go ahead.
If it was a Kate and William, I never would have written about that, you know? So.
Because there are dynamics to it. Even though you're writing from a humorous place, the dynamics include an acknowledgement of the racism and classism that she was experiencing that then we can all relate to.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I do think, I remember when I was growing up and when calypso was calypso, they were like the social, calypso were the social conscience of the country and of the people. And I think as poets, well, I don't know, who am I to tell any poet what their responsibility is? But I feel almost like I have a voice that that can be heard, maybe above others. And I'm not going out there to talk about pretty little things tied up in a pink bow when there's real issues to be tackled and talked about.
You wrote about, just before the last royal visit, I promise the whole interview is not about them, but just before the last royal visit, you, in time for the last royal visit, you wrote what I take as a condemnation, not just of the royal visit, but of our relationship to them. And you actually were calling out those of us who you think have the access and the power to speak to them, who are not doing what we should do. You were calling out, I feel like reparation support, because they had written a letter and you felt like that wasn't enough or it didn't go far enough or something. Tell me, what was the intention there? Because I also know that you said that you were, well, it was, the radio announcer said that you weren't going to write anything. And he said, no, man, you have to write something. And you said, I don't feel like writing anything. And he was like, no, man, you have to write something. And I don't know, I can't write like that. You have to write something. So I go and sit down and write something. That writing on from an external, like somebody say you have to, and you do it. I cannot. Like, it's more organic for me than that. But obviously something was already inside you, because as you said, you write from that place. So it wasn't almost like you were just responding to that person. It was, okay, I'm going to put down what's kind of firing up inside of me.
So when you say you can't write like that, I really can't write like that, you know. And I have, because, you know, I oblige people. But those are the pieces that I never go back and ever read again. I write them and I get rid of them. I don't ever look at them again, because they're not mine. They're not coming from me. But I said no when he asked me, are you gonna write something? And I said no, because, like, I don't really care about them, right? And I said no. But that same morning, when they were making when they were due to arrive, I think, I got up and I got in my vehicle and I drove the route. And I became inspired to actually write.
That's interesting.
Because I saw the flags and I saw the preparation and so on. And I figured, oh, really? Seriously?
So stick a pin.
Effort into it.
Stick a pin. So you consciously, you were incidentally driving the route. You consciously chose to drive the route.
Yeah, I did. I drove the route to see if I felt anything at all. Yeah, I did. I was looking for something. I was fishing. And
in the fishing, what did you pull? Was it anger? Was it sarcasm? Was it something else?
It was all of the above. It was all of the above, because the very first thing that struck me was the stinking gutter water, just like I said.
Right? I mean, I wasn't driving the route, right? But I remember driving down and I saw the flags and I couldn't breathe because the gutter was so stink. And I'm
telling you, and usually I do not drive with my windows open. My windows are always up and my air conditioner is on. But that morning, the windows were down. I wasn't trying to sniff out anything, but the windows just happened to be down. And when I smelled it, I was like,
yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
So why did you decide then to kind of direct your daggers at the people who arguably are fighting for, you know, reparations and all that?
Arguably. I like that word, arguably. It wasn't just at them, it was at everybody else who made a big deal out of these people. All the people who are making a big deal out of the royals really don't give two shakes about them. You know, it's just such a farce. So it wasn't just the reparations people, but the reparations people also are a farce.
Well, I mean, that letter got a lot of positive play internationally.
That's fine. I didn't see anything positive in it. So whoever finds something positive in it can write the positives. I just didn't see anything positive in it. Thought it was nonsense.
I think between the last royal tours and this one, the idea that reparations and republics and all that is part of the conversation is seen as a push forward or a different kind of narrative. So I think that's the way the positivity is coming from. Like, these islands are saying what? Oh, they're saying something different than, okay, here, hi, let me wave to you, thanks for visiting.
Yeah, but they're saying that out of a small corner of their mouth, but they're still dancing and they're still waving and they're still genuflecting.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, mixed messages, really and truly, a letter that was not even really addressed to them.
Well, I said what? That letter became as popular as a calypso during carnival season, because I turned on the radio the next day, people were calling and requesting it. No, not the letter, sorry, your poem.
Oh, okay.
People were calling the next day and request, play the poem from Dotsie again now.
All right, well, there you go.
So obviously it resonated with people in some way.
I'm sure it did. My pieces usually do, because a lot of people have a lot to say. They just don't say it in public places, on public spaces, or maybe they don't have the platform to say. I don't know, but luckily for me, I do, and I use it.
What's your favorite piece that you've written?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that because all of my children are favorite to me. I don't have a favorite child.
Is there a piece that's most demanded?
The political pieces are most demanded, and for obvious reasons. They get the most airplay. It's topical. It's the season, you know. But there's a piece that I did on, I call 8/8/21 that I wrote after Tear Gas Sunday last year. I call it Freedom, 8/8/21.
Can you give me a bit of that? Do you have it in your head?
I don't have it in my head.
Part of it, not the whole thing, just a small part that comes to mind. If not, we can move on.
It starts by saying, I think freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. When the youth are protest ready, they become revolutionary. And it goes on from there, and it just kind of encapsulates the entire Sunday, everything that happened that Sunday, because I happened to be there. That was my personal experience. I was caught up in it. I was gassed as well, right? So that piece means a lot to me.
That's so crazy to me that was reality in August 2020.
Yeah, that piece means a lot to me, not only because it was my experience but because it was almost it's history. It's chronicling what happened that day.
Something that you just did, something that you just did that reminds me of calypso is you said you started off freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, which interpolates a line from a Janis Joplin song.
That's right? Yes.
And calypso did that all the time. Paul, they actually quotes that short shirt used that I didn't realize were not short shirt inventions or Shirley Cope's inventions until I was grown. I was like, oh, this person said that? Like, you know, Paul rules the world. Give me liberty or give me death or
because
whatever.
Many times other people say it better than you. So, you know, you borrow and you build on it.
But interpolation,
you know, and you use it.
As we're seeing, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
No, as we're seeing with Beyonce's new release, it's actually because you know there's a lot of conversation around using bits and pieces of other songs and how many songwriters. But the idea is from our culture, if you think of calypso and you think of hip hop, is kind of weaving in little things that enhance the narrative, but also creating something new with it. So that just jumped out at me as part of your style.
Yeah, it's definitely from the Janis Joplin's song.
One of my favorite of her songs. The song is so broody and but at the same time, you know, freedom is another word. Yeah, love it.
I love it. And I tell you which version I love the most. Pink does a version of that song.
Yeah,
and I'm in love with Pink.
No, I love the Janis version more because there was so much pain in her. But Pink is definitely a good successor. And
definitely.
When you think of someone else singing that song, of course it's Pink. It has to be Pink, right? I mean, she has the right sort of energy. Yeah, definitely. So calypso is an influence for you, and rock and just music in general.
I like music. I don't want to say I like good music because and I don't ask me what my taste in music is because my playlist has on everything from rock to religious music to country music and everything in between. It's about the lyrics for me. And I tell people all the time, if you look at my playlist, and I have to say, because I have a YouTube playlist, you'll hardly ever see a video. You will see the lyric video.
Okay, interesting.
Because it's all about the lyrics to me. A song has to move me in a particular way. Hardly ever about the music.
So you're a connoisseur of words.
I love it. Yeah. I like words when words move me in a particular way. Or you might hear something and say, "What's that?" And I write down that particular line, and then I'll go back and research the song, add it to my playlist. So. It's about what the song has to say and the feeling it conveys. And I think that's why I like country music as much as I do. So
great narrative stories in country music and
the
whole gamut. I do think, because I similarly love all types of music, but I'm not.
I do too.
The lyrics are what I hear first, but I also feel like the mood is also part of it for me. So
Yeah, but the lyrics really set a mood, I think.
I know people who listen to music and don't hear the lyrics at all, and I can't even understand how that works.
Well, I don't understand that, because if I'm on the dance floor, as much as I love soca, if a soca song comes on that I'm not particularly fond of, I come off of the dance floor.
Well, I gotta say, as a
Caribbean
person,
the music might be sweet, but
Roxanne Gay said she was a bad feminist. I don't know, I haven't read the book yet, but I guess I'm a bad feminist for this when it comes to soca, is that the music kind of tends to take precedence over the lyrics, because sometimes you sit down and listen to the lyrics, you're like, what was I dancing to? What was that? But when I'm dancing to it, the music too sweet. You know what I mean?
No, but I like songs that tell a story. I really do. Yeah. So even if it's soca.
Have you ever, are there poems that you, what's your editing process like? Is it one and done, or do you go through several revisions? Are there things that you're still going back 2 years later and not happy with?
No, I don't know if I call it one and done. For a lot of my pieces, yes, the political pieces, because they're so topical. I hear something on the radio today, and I'm writing today, and I want to get it out today, I want to get it out tomorrow. So that's one and done, because by day after tomorrow is a new topic. Something else is happening, you know? So my editing process, usually once I'm finished with it, I'm finished with it, because I'm not writing so much for an audience as I'm writing to express myself. If you understand what I'm saying. So it's what I'm feeling that's coming out.
So it's out.
Yeah, it's just my truth on paper. To so edit it and twist it around and take out this and add in that. It loses its genuineness.
Do you have ambitions to take your work outside of Antigua, or have you taken your work outside of Antigua?
Meaning what?
You know, presenting and publishing in other spaces.
Presenting, I'd love to present outside of Antigua.
Have you pursued it?
Absolutely. I am pursuing it.
Okay.
You're
trying to take the showcase on the road?
That's what I'd love to do.
Oh, cool.
Did you see it?
No, I was not able to attend.
But okay. Excuse me, but that is absolutely what I love to do, because
reviews were great though. I heard nothing but great reviews, which I expect.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. Because it played out the way I envisioned it. And I knew if it played out the way I envisioned it, it would have been a good show.
So for those who haven't seen it, it's a really good show. It was a mix of different mediums. So you had I saw the clip with Flora where she was singing and you were presenting and other sorts of things. And you also plan to make it an annual thing. And you've also donated some of the proceeds to Heart Help.
Yeah, the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Yeah, I did that. Because when the Heart and Stroke Foundation came on stream in 2020, because 2020 is when I was planning to have Senses. It wasn't even called Senses at that time, but it was still the same show. And my good friend, sister friend, Ava Ramsey died, and she had heart issues. And so it just made sense to me at that time. And even though we were delayed by 2 years because of COVID, I just felt like that was a commitment I had to honor, because I'd already talked to them about it. And I wanted to do it. Even if 2 years had passed, you know, I mean, I'd made that commitment and it's something that I wanted to do. And I was able to do it. I'm happy about that.
Okay, so as we wrap up, what next do you want to do? On the page or out in the world?
Out in the world, definitely. On the page will come, on the page will come, because I think it's necessary to put my work on paper and put it out there. And the right people have been encouraging me to do it. And so I promise that I will do it. But what I want to do, and what the bug that has bitten me, is to take my work on the road and perform it. Oh, that is really what I would love. Really, just take it to the diaspora and perform it. And
well, you You said it here now, so you've put it out in the world. It has to happen now.
I put it out in the universe, and that's what I want to do more than anything else. The writing, we will always, that's a given.
Well, there's a lot to get upset about.
I'm always writing.
There's a lot to get angry about in the world right now. So
you know, all of the poems are not angry poems, but I mean, but that is what really yeah, when I'm upset about something, when I need to vent, I open my laptop.
Whether it's gender issues, land rights, or just the politics period, there's a lot, and there's a lot to feel uncertain and angry just in general about. So I suspect that we will see lots more. And as I said, you bring a lot of humor with it as well. I consider that part of your style, a sort of natural, dry wit.
Yeah, because that's how we think, and that as Caribbean people, that's how we talk. You know, you may be very angry and you say something in a very funny way. You know, that's just who we are and how we express. And I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to write for the world. I'm a Caribbean woman, and I use Caribbean expressions. I'm speaking to Caribbean people. I'm not trying to write for the world.
I could give you a fist bump right now. You don't have to. You don't have to water down your stuff in order to take it to the world. Write your truth and write your truth.
I have no interest in doing that at all. I have no interest in doing that. So that's what I do.
Well, thanks so much for chatting with me today, Dotsie. I really enjoyed it. And look forward to more entertainment. I know your work is not intended to entertain me, but I am entertained by it.
It is entertainment because even though it is, it comes from a real place. Most of what I write about are personal experiences, and even if they're not personal to me, they may be personal to somebody close to me. Still, though, an audience is going to hear it, and so sometimes you have to make it a little bit larger than life. Even though I don't think there's such a thing, because life is really so big, and even though you think you may be writing and stretching your truth a little bit for an audience, it's somebody else's truth. You know, it resonates with somebody else. So I will continue to write.
And in spite of making big enemies like our Prime Minister, I hope you continue to remain unmuzzled.
Well, they're gonna literally have to muzzle me. And they're gonna get some bites.
You're not going now without a fight.
No, I mean, you know, and why should we? We really should not be less than anybody else and be afraid to speak. Each of us has a voice.
Yeah. So that would be one last thing. So that would be your advice to writers coming up behind you is, or what would be your advice to writers coming up behind you?
Just be true to yourself. I read and listen to a lot of poetry that I'm not even sure what it is they're talking about. It's too abstract for me, and I'm sure there's an audience for that. But for me, let's just get straight to the truth. Let there not be any ambiguity. Let's just talk about it. So just be true to you, to yourself. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing will happen. You may upset a person or two, but so what? Look at me.
Well, I mean, the truth is something might happen to you, but you kind of have to do it. Something might happen to you, but you kind of have to do it in spite of that, no?
Yeah. If you are really dedicated to your craft and you are really moved by what it is you're feeling and writing, just do it. Nothing happened to you.
Just
do it. You live in some part of the world where they can probably some writer, some journalists in the Middle East, and they take you and throw you in.
Oh God, that's a conversation for another time. We'll leave it at just do it. If you want, right, just do it. So that's it. Thank you so much, Dotsie, for your time.
Thank you,
I
Joanne.
appreciate it. And continue writing. Welcome. I don't have to tell you that, but continue writing.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay.